Have you ever felt like there's something just beyond your reach? Something massive, powerful, and undeniably yours that for some inexplicable reason simply won't come through? Maybe you've experienced those quiet moments late at night when you sense that prosperity is hovering right there, almost close enough to touch, yet it remains frustratingly invisible, like it's waiting for you to unlock some hidden door you didn't even know existed. You're not alone in this feeling. In fact, if you've ever looked around your life and thought, there has to be more than this, then what I'm about to share with you today might fundamentally shift how you understand wealth, success, and the very nature of abundance itself. But before we begin, please hit the like button and let me know where in the world you're watching from today. It's always fascinating seeing who's joining us from around the world. And if you haven't already, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any of our future videos. Now here's what most people don't realize about money and prosperity. It's not actually hiding from you. The abundance you seek isn't locked away in some distant vault requiring years of sacrifice to access. The truth is far more surprising and far more accessible than you might imagine. There's an invisible force, a kind of energetic current running through your life right now, and it's been trying to deliver everything you desire. The question isn't whether abundance exists or whether it's meant for you. The real question is this: what's been blocking the connection? Has this ever happened to you? You work hard, you stay focused, you do everything the experts tell you to do, and yet somehow the breakthrough never quite arrives. Meanwhile, you watch others, sometimes people with less experience, fewer credentials, or seemingly less effort, attract opportunities like magnets. It's maddening, isn't it? But here's what nobody tells you. The difference between those who effortlessly attract wealth and those who constantly struggle isn't about luck, timing, or even talent. It's about something much deeper, something that operates beneath the surface of your conscious awareness. Think of it as an internal compass, a magnetic force that either pulls abundance toward you or unknowingly pushes it away. And right now, in this very moment, that force is active within you, either working for you or against you. Stay with me until the end of this video, because what you're about to discover might surprise you, maybe even challenge everything you thought you knew about creating wealth and success. We're going to explore why some people seem to live in a constant state of flow, where money, opportunities, and resources find them with remarkable ease, while others fight uphill battles for every small victory. The answer lies not in doing more, but in becoming more aligned with what already wants to reach you. There's a dormant magnet inside you, and once you understand how to activate it, everything changes. This isn't about positive thinking or wishing harder. It's about understanding the invisible mechanics of abundance and learning to work with forces that have been operating all along, just waiting for you to notice them. So the question becomes, what if everything you've been taught about money is fundamentally incomplete? What if the real reason wealth has felt elusive isn't because you're doing something wrong, but because you've been operating with an outdated understanding of what money actually is? Here's the hidden truth that changes everything. Money isn't what you think it is. It's not just paper in your wallet, numbers on a screen, or digits in a bank account. Those are simply the physical manifestations, the end result of something far more fundamental. Money, at its core, is energy. It's vibration. It's a frequency that responds to the signals you're constantly broadcasting, whether you realize it or not. Think about electricity for a moment. You can't see it, yet it powers everything around you. It flows where the conditions are right, where there's conductivity, where the circuit is complete. Money operates the same way. It flows towards certain people, certain mindsets, certain energetic states. Not because those people are luckier or more deserving, but because they've unknowingly created the right conditions for it to flow through them. This is why you can have two people with identical education, similar backgrounds, and access to the same opportunities, yet one thrives while the other barely survives. The difference isn't in their external circumstances, it's in their internal frequency, their energetic identity. One person vibrates at the frequency of abundance, while the other, often without realizing it, broadcasts scarcity, doubt, and resistance. If this resonated with you, subscribe to the channel. There's so much more we're going to explore together, and you don't want to miss what's coming. And here's what I need you to understand, really understand, because this might be the most important thing anyone has ever told you about your financial journey. You are not broken. Read that again. You are not flawed. You haven't failed. You're not behind, inadequate, or fundamentally incapable of attracting wealth. If abundance hasn't shown up in your life the way you've dreamed, it's not because there's something wrong with you. It's simply because there's a part of your internal system, call it your energetic transmitter, that hasn't been fully activated yet. Imagine you have a radio inside you, constantly broadcasting a signal out into the universe. Right now, that radio might be tuned to a frequency of struggle, effort, and trying to make things happen, but there's another frequency available, one where abundance flows naturally, where opportunities appear seemingly out of nowhere, where the right people, resources, and circumstances align with effortless precision. You're not incapable of tuning into that frequency. You simply haven't learned how yet. This is the journey we're on together right now. This isn't about adopting some superficial positive thinking or repeating affirmations you don't believe. This is about genuine transformation at the level of identity, about recognizing that the version of yourself who attracts wealth effortlessly already exists within you. It's just been dormant, waiting for the right activation sequence. Now, I want to go even deeper into this, because understanding money as energy is just the beginning. What really matters is learning how to shift your internal frequency, how to become the kind of person who naturally resonates with abundance. And that starts with recognizing something most people never realize about their own mindset and the invisible decisions they make every single day. If this is making sense to you, write in the comments, "I'm ready for this shift." Because here's what most people don't realize about their relationship with wealth. There's a fire inside you. I'm not speaking metaphorically or poetically. I mean this as literally as I can. There exists within you an energetic force, a kind of luminous intensity that, when fully awakened, doesn't just attract abundance, it commands it. Think of it like the first light of dawn breaking over a dark landscape, or a massive magnet buried deep in the earth, pulling everything magnetic toward its center. That's what lives in your chest right now, and it's been there your entire life. But here's the revelation that changes everything. That fire has been dormant, not extinguished, not absent, just sleeping, waiting for the right moment, the right understanding, the right phrase to whisper it awake, and that moment is happening right now as you're watching this. Most people go their entire lives never knowing this fire exists. They feel occasional sparks of it, those moments of inspiration, clarity, or sudden confidence. But they don't understand what they're experiencing or how to sustain it. So the fire flickers and fades, and they return to the default state of effort, struggle, and trying to force outcomes through sheer willpower. But once you understand that this fire is real, once you learn how to tend it, how to feed it, how to let it grow from a spark into a blazing force, everything shifts. Opportunities stop feeling like rare strokes of luck and start appearing as natural consequences of who you've become. Money stops being something you chase and becomes something that flows toward you. Not because you're manipulating anything or using tricks, but because you've activated the part of yourself that naturally resonates with abundance. Now here's the part that might challenge what you've believed up until now. Abundance doesn't come to those who desperately seek it. It comes to those who become it. Read that again, because it's the key that unlocks everything else. You cannot attract what you are not. You cannot pull into your life what your identity fundamentally rejects or doesn't recognize as belonging to you. This is why all the goal-setting, vision boards and hustle culture tactics eventually hit a ceiling. They're working on the surface level, trying to change outcomes, when the real transformation needs to happen at the level of identity. Everything in your life, and I mean everything, is responding to the identity you've silently, often unconsciously assumed about yourself. The opportunities that appear, the people who show up, the resources that become available, even the obstacles you encounter, all of it is reflecting back the energetic signal you're broadcasting about who you are and what you deserve. Money doesn't respond to your wishes, your hopes, or even your hard work in isolation. It responds to your vibration, your certainty, the energy you project when nobody's watching and you're alone with your thoughts. This is the hidden mechanism behind every rags to riches story, every inexplicable breakthrough, every person who seems to have the Midas touch. They're not luckier, they're not more talented. They've simply, whether consciously or unconsciously, stepped into an identity that aligns with abundance. They've become the person to whom wealth naturally flows, and the universe has no choice but to match that frequency. The beautiful truth here is that this isn't reserved for a chosen few. This fire exists in everyone. The capacity to shift your identity, to elevate your frequency, to become the energetic match for the life you desire. It's already within you. It's not something you need to acquire from outside. It's something you need to awaken from within, to remember, to activate. And once it's activated, the external world begins to reorganize itself around this new version of you. Think about the people you admire who seem to effortlessly attract success. They're not working harder than everyone else. They've discovered, again, whether consciously or not, how to align their internal state with the reality they want to experience. They've learned to be abundant before abundance arrives. They've learned to feel wealthy before the bank account reflects it. They've learned to carry themselves with the certainty of someone who knows, without question, that everything they need is already on its way. And this is exactly what we're unpacking together right now. This journey isn't about learning new techniques or strategies. It's about remembering who you actually are beneath all the conditioning, the doubt, and the limiting beliefs that have kept that fire dimmed for so long. If you're beginning to see how powerful this really is, drop a comment and write, "I'm awakening this fire." So let's talk about what this actually looks like in practice, because understanding the concept intellectually is one thing, but grasping how it operates in your daily reality is where the real transformation begins. Imagine for a moment that inside your chest, right at the center of your being, there's a magnet. Not a small refrigerator magnet, but something massive, powerful, with an electromagnetic field that extends far beyond your physical body. This magnet is always active, always broadcasting, always pulling things toward you or repelling them away. Now here's what makes this fascinating. That magnet responds to one thing above all else: your certainty. Not your hopes, not your wishes, not even your desires in the traditional sense. It responds to the unwavering conviction you hold about yourself when nobody's watching, when you're alone at night, when the lights are off, and there's no audience to perform for. What do you truly believe about your worth, your capabilities, your right to prosperity? That private, unguarded truth is what calibrates your magnet. When your identity becomes a magnet so powerful, so consistent in its frequency, something extraordinary happens. What once seemed completely unreachable, opportunities, connections, resources, breakthroughs, begins to orbit around you. Not because you're chasing harder, not because you're networking more aggressively, but because you've become such a strong, energetic point of attraction that the universe has to reorganize itself around you. This isn't mysticism. This is the mechanics of how energy works, how resonance functions, how vibration calls to matching vibration. If something shifted inside you today, hit that like a button. It helps this message reach others who are ready for it. And this brings us to perhaps the most paradigm-shattering truth we'll explore today. Money doesn't come from outside you. It comes from within. I know that sounds counterintuitive, maybe even absurd. After all, we physically receive money from employers, clients, customers, external sources. But that external movement is just the visible manifestation of an internal reality. The money showing up in your life is a reflection, a mirror, a perfect echo of the vibrational identity you're holding inside. This is why you can take two people with identical education, similar backgrounds, access to the same opportunities and information, place them in the same industry, and watch them produce wildly different results. One seems to glide effortlessly towards success, attracting the right mentors, stumbling into perfect timing, receiving offers that others would kill for. The other grinds, hustles, works twice as hard, and barely keeps their head above water. What's the difference? It's not intelligence, it's not work ethic, it's not even skill, though skill matters. The difference is vibrational identity. One person has, whether through upbringing, early experiences, or conscious cultivation, developed an internal frequency that says, I am someone to whom abundance naturally flows. Their magnet is calibrated to prosperity. The other person, despite their best conscious efforts, carries a deeper frequency that whispers, I have to fight for everything I get. Their magnet is calibrated to struggle, and the universe, being the perfect mirror it is, delivers exactly what each person's magnet is broadcasting. This is the journey behind every major breakthrough, every transformation story you've ever heard. It's not about discovering some external secret or gaining access to hidden information. It's about shifting what's happening internally, about recalibrating that magnet from scarcity to abundance, from doubt to certainty, from trying to get to naturally receiving. The revelations here cut deeper than most people are willing to go. It's uncomfortable to realize that your external circumstances aren't happening to you, they're happening from you. Your financial reality isn't a random collection of good and bad luck. It's a precise reflection of your internal state, of the identity you've been carrying, often unconsciously, for years or even decades. But here's the empowering side of this. Truth. If your external reality is being generated from within, that means you have far more control than you ever imagined. You're not at the mercy of the economy, your boss, your circumstances, or your past. You're at the mercy of your own vibrational identity, and that can be shifted, elevated, transformed. If this is landing for you in a deep way, write in the comments, my magnet is shifting. So now I want you to actually experience this for yourself, because understanding it conceptually only gets you partway there. Close your eyes for a moment if you can, or if you're watching this while doing something else. Just bring your attention inward. I want you to imagine something very specific. There's a magnet inside your chest, right where your heart sits. But this isn't cold metal. It's warm, alive, vibrant with energy. Picture it as being roughly the size of your actual heart, glowing softly. And here's the key detail. It's slowly rotating. As this magnet turns, each rotation releases a tiny spark of light. Each spark ignites something in the space around it, creating this expanding field of luminous energy. And with each spark, with each pulse of light, you're drawing closer to everything you've been wanting. This magnet isn't attracting money because you need it desperately. It's attracting money because of identity, because of who you're becoming, because the frequency it's broadcasting matches the frequency of abundance itself. Feel that difference? Necessity repels, identity attracts. When you operate from necessity, from the anxious energy of I need this to work or I'm in trouble, Your magnet actually reverses its polarity. It pushes away the very things you're trying to pull toward you. But when you operate from identity, from the calm certainty of, I am someone to whom prosperity naturally flows, that magnet spins effortlessly, and everything aligned with that frequency begins moving in your direction. This is where most people unknowingly sabotage themselves. And it's such a subtle trap that even people who understand these principles on an intellectual level fall into it. They say they want abundance. They visualize it. They set goals around it. They take action toward it. But underneath all of that surface activity, there's a misalignment happening. Their thoughts are focused on abundance, but their emotions are steeped in scarcity. Their desires point one direction, but their identity believes something completely different. Here's the truth that unlocks everything. The universe doesn't respond to your desires. It responds to your coherence. What does that mean? Coherence is when your thoughts, your emotions, and your identity are all vibrating in the same direction, broadcasting the same signal. When these three elements align, you become an unstoppable force of attraction. But when they're fractured, when they're pointing in different directions, your magnet loses its power. It's like trying to drive a car with one foot on the gas and the other on the brake. Think about how common this is. Someone says, I want financial freedom, and they might even genuinely mean it at the conscious level. But watch what happens in their daily life. They think thoughts of abundance for a few minutes during their morning routine, then spend the rest of the day thinking thoughts of lack, worrying about bills, comparing themselves to others, feeling anxious about money. Their desire says abundance, but their thoughts say scarcity. Or maybe their thoughts are relatively positive, but their emotions tell a different story. They feel fear when they check their bank account. They feel anxiety about the future. They feel doubt about whether this will actually work for them. Their desire says abundance. Their thoughts might even say abundance, but their emotions are broadcasting, I don't actually believe this is possible for me. And then there's the deepest level, identity. Someone might think abundant thoughts and even generate abundant emotions temporarily, but if their core identity still whispers, I'm not the kind of person who has money, or people like me don't get rich, or I always struggle financially, then that identity becomes the dominant frequency. And the universe, being the perfect mirror it is, reflects back that identity, not the temporary thoughts or emotions. This is what creates a fractured magnet. All these different frequencies competing with each other, cancelling each other out, creating static instead of a clear signal. And when your signal is unclear, the universe doesn't know what to deliver. So it delivers confusion, mixed results, occasional wins, followed by inexplicable setbacks. That frustrating pattern of taking 2 steps forward and 3 steps back. But when you achieve coherence, when you align your thoughts, emotions, and identity around the same frequency of abundance, everything changes. Your magnet stops wobbling and starts spinning true. The signal you broadcast becomes crystal clear, and the universe responds with matching clarity. If you're recognizing where you've been operating from a fractured magnet, write in the comments, I'm choosing coherence. So let me give you a different way to visualize what's happening energetically, because this metaphor completely transformed how I understood my own relationship with abundance. Imagine that you are a river, not beside a river, not near a river. You are the river itself, wide, deep, flowing with natural power and momentum. This river is your energy, your life force, and it's constantly moving, constantly carrying things along its current. Now, everything that belongs to you, all the money, opportunities, ideas, connections, growth, success, these aren't things you need to go out and hunt down. They're already in the river. They're already part of the natural flow. The river's job is simply to flow, and in flowing, it carries everything downstream to exactly where it needs to. Go. That's the natural state of abundance, effortless movement, constant flow, resources arriving not because you're forcing them, but because the current itself brings them. But here's what happens to most people, and this is where everything gets blocked. Imagine someone starts placing giant stones in the middle of that river. Massive boulders that obstruct the current, narrow the channel, create turbulence and resistance. What are these stones? They're your limiting beliefs, your fears about money, your repeated thoughts of, I can't afford that, or that's not for people like me, or I always struggle financially. Every time you think one of those thoughts, every time you reinforce one of those beliefs, you're dropping another boulder into your river. The water still wants to flow, the abundance still wants to reach you, but now it has to work around all these obstructions. The current weakens. Things that should flow smoothly to you get stuck, diverted, or slow to a trickle. And what do most people do when they notice the flow has diminished? They try to force it. They work harder, push harder, hustle harder, thinking that if they just apply enough pressure, they can overcome the blockage. But that's like standing in a river full of boulders and trying to manually push water downstream. It's exhausting, ineffective, and completely misses the point. Here's the revelation that changes the entire game. You don't need to learn how to attract money. You need to learn how to remove the stones. This is a fundamental paradigm shift that most personal development and wealth-building advice completely misses. The advice tells you to do more affirmations, more visualization, more action, more networking, more strategy. And while action matters, if the underlying flow is blocked, all that effort is like trying to sail a boat while the anchor is still down. When you remove the stones, when you identify and release those limiting beliefs, when you stop feeding the fears, when you consciously interrupt and replace those scarcity-based thoughts, something miraculous happens. The river begins to flow naturally again, and when a river flows naturally, it flows alone. It doesn't need your help. It doesn't require constant intervention. It moves with its own power, following the path of least resistance, and it drags everything along with it. This is what effortless abundance actually looks like. Not sitting around doing nothing and hoping money falls from the sky, but removing the internal obstacles so that your natural flow can do what it's designed to do. The river doesn't struggle to be a river. It doesn't force itself to flow. It simply removes the blockages and allows its nature to express itself. Everything already destined to find you, and there's so much destined to find you, is already in motion. It's already flowing in your direction. The question isn't whether it exists or whether you deserve it. The question is, what stones are you still clutching? What boulders are you still placing in your own path? What beliefs are you still reinforcing that create resistance against your own natural flow? This understanding transforms the journey entirely. You stop looking outside yourself for the secret formula, the magic technique, the perfect strategy. You start looking within, identifying where you're blocking yourself, where your own thoughts and beliefs are creating the very obstacles you're trying so hard to overcome through external effort. And when you commit to this internal work, when you make the decision to systematically remove those stones one by one, the flow begins to restore itself. Not all at once, not overnight, but gradually, powerfully, undeniably. If you're ready to start removing those stones, write in the comments, I'm clearing my flow. Now, here's something that might completely shift your perspective, and I need you to really sit with this for a moment. What if I told you that abundance hasn't been avoiding you? What if, all this time, abundance has actually been searching for you, actively seeking you out, trying to find a way to reach you? The problem was never that you weren't worthy or that prosperity was reserved for others. The problem was that abundance didn't know where to find you. Think about it like this. Imagine abundance as a signal trying to locate your receiver. But your receiver keeps changing frequencies, moving locations, sending out conflicting coordinates. One day, You're broadcasting certainty and openness. The next day, you're buried under fear and doubt. One moment you're vibrating at the frequency of, I'm ready to receive. And the next you're vibrating at, I don't deserve this, or this never works for me. Abundance is trying to lock onto your signal, but the signal keeps shifting, scrambling, disappearing. What's happening right now, in this very moment, as you're absorbing these words, as you're feeling these concepts land in your awareness, is an internal recalibration. You're stabilizing your signal. You're activating something within yourself that's been dormant. And that activation is so powerful, so unmistakable, that the universe is beginning to adjust the paths leading to you. Opportunities that couldn't find you before suddenly have clear coordinates. Resources that were circling but couldn't land now have a runway. People who could help you but never crossed your path start appearing in unexpected places. This isn't magical thinking. This is understanding how energy and frequency actually work. You've been sending out mixed signals your entire life, and the universe has been trying to respond, but it couldn't give you clear answers to unclear questions. Now, as your internal state shifts, as your magnet begins spinning true, as your river clears of obstacles, the signal clarifies. And abundance, which has always been searching for you, finally knows exactly where you are. But there's another layer to this that we need to explore, because it explains why some people experience this shift quickly while others continue to struggle despite understanding the concepts. The universe operates as a perfect mirror, and I mean perfect in the truest sense. It doesn't think, doesn't judge, doesn't negotiate, doesn't interpret. It simply reflects back to you exactly what you're showing it. If you stand in front of a mirror frowning, the mirror shows you a frown. It doesn't decide to show you a smile to make you feel better. It doesn't judge whether you deserve to look happy. It just reflects precisely what's in front of it. The universe works the same way. It's not deciding whether you're worthy of abundance. It's not determining whether you've suffered enough, or worked hard enough, or learned the right lessons. It's simply reflecting the identity you're projecting. When you see yourself as limited, when your internal identity whispers, I'm not capable of more than this, or my family was never wealthy, so I won't be either, or I'm just not good with money. The universe reflects limitation, not as punishment, not as judgment, but as a perfect neutral reflection of what you're broadcasting. When you see yourself as someone who struggles, who has to fight for everything, who never catches a break, the universe reflects struggle. Again, not because it's against you, but because it's mirroring you with absolute precision. This is simultaneously the most challenging and most liberating truth you'll ever encounter. Challenging because it means you can't blame external circumstances for your internal state. You can't point to the economy, your boss, your past, your circumstances and say, that's why I'm stuck. Those things are effects, not causes. They're reflections, not origins. But here's why it's liberating. If the universe is simply mirroring your internal state, then changing your external reality doesn't require changing the whole world. It requires changing yourself. Change yourself first, and the world changes after. Not eventually, not someday, immediately. The mirror has no choice but to reflect the new image you're presenting. This is the hidden truth behind every major transformation story you've ever heard. The person didn't change their circumstances and then become different. They became different first, and their circumstances reorganized themselves to match the new frequency. If you're understanding how powerful this mirror principle really is, write in the comments, I see my reflection changing. So let's talk about something that Napoleon Hill understood decades ago, something that modern success culture often misses in its obsession with action and strategy. There's a sequence to how reality forms, and most people have it completely backwards. They think facts come first, then emotions follow. They think results come first, then identity adjusts. They think manifestation happens first, then vibration aligns. But the actual sequence is the exact opposite. And understanding this reversal changes everything. Emotion precedes fact, identity precedes result, vibration precedes manifestation. Read those three statements again, because they're the blueprint for how creation actually works. You don't wait to feel abundant until after the money arrives. You cultivate the emotion of abundance first, and the money follows. You don't wait to embody the identity of someone successful until after the success shows up. You step into that identity now, and success reorganizes itself around who you've become. You don't wait for evidence of manifestation before you shift your vibration. You shift your vibration, and manifestation becomes inevitable. This is exactly what's happening to you right now, whether you fully realize it yet or not. By watching this, by listening, by allowing these concepts to settle into your awareness, by visualizing your internal magnets spinning and your river flowing, you're beginning to change your vibration. From the root, not from the surface, not temporarily, but from the foundation up. You're not just learning information, you're undergoing a transformation at the frequency level. And here's where this gets really interesting, because it directly challenges one of the most pervasive beliefs in our culture, the idea that you have to chase money, pursue it relentlessly, hunt it down through sheer force of will and effort. But that entire paradigm is built on a misunderstanding of how energy actually it works. Money isn't something you chase, it's something you permit. Think about what happens when you chase something. You create distance. You establish a dynamic of pursuer and pursued, which means by definition, the thing you're chasing is always ahead of you, always out of reach, always requiring more effort to catch. You exhaust yourself in an endless pursuit, and even when you catch glimpses of what you're chasing, it slips away because the fundamental dynamic hasn't changed. You're still in chase mode. But permission is an entirely different energetic stance. Permission means you stop blocking and start allowing. It means you recognize that what you desire isn't running away from you. It's trying to flow toward you, and your job is simply to remove the resistance, to clear the channel, to open the gates. Permission is what happens when your energy shifts from "I must make this happen" to "I allow this to happen through me." Go back to the river metaphor for a moment. A river doesn't chase its destination. It doesn't pursue the ocean with frantic effort. It simply flows, following the path of least resistance, and inevitably, naturally, it arrives exactly where it's meant to go. The ocean doesn't run from the river. The river doesn't hunt the ocean. There's a natural flow from source to destination, and obstacles are simply navigated around, not fought against. That's what permitting abundance looks like. Your magnet spins, creating a field of attraction. Your fire burns, radiating warmth and light. Your river flows, carrying everything meant for you directly to you. None of these require force. None of these operate through pursuit. They all function through natural laws of energy and flow. And the shift from pursuing to permitting happens the moment you realize that abundance isn't somewhere out there that you need to track down and capture. It's already in motion toward you, has always been in motion toward you, and the only thing standing between you and its arrival is whatever resistance you're still holding in your energy field. Every limiting belief is resistance. Every fear-based thought is resistance. Every moment you identify with scarcity instead of abundance is resistance. And as you dissolve that resistance, as you remove those stones from your river, as you align your thoughts and emotions and identity into coherence, as you shift your vibration to match what you desire, permission naturally occurs. This is the journey we're on. Together, not learning how to chase harder, but learning how to permit more fully. If this shift from pursuing to permitting is resonating with you, write in the comments, "I'm learning to permit." Now I need you to understand something that might be difficult to accept at first, especially if you're currently facing challenging circumstances. Your internal power, That fire, that magnet, that flowing river we've been talking about, is stronger than any external circumstance you're facing right now. I don't care how difficult your situation appears. I don't care how long you've been waiting for things to change. I don't care what others have told you about your limitations or what's possible for someone in your position. None of that has the final say. Your internal power is like a river that can always be redirected, can always find a new path, can always flow again even after the longest drought. External circumstances are temporary formations. They're like the landscape the river moves through. And yes, sometimes that landscape is rocky, sometimes it's steep, sometimes it seems impossibly blocked. But the river's power doesn't come from the landscape. It comes from the source, from the internal spring that never runs dry. This is what people miss when they look at their bank account, their debt, their job situation, their past failures and say, given where I am, abundance isn't realistic for me right now. They're giving their external circumstances authority over their internal power. They're letting the temporary landscape dictate the permanent flow. But the truth is that every major transformation in history, every rags to riches story, every breakthrough that seemed impossible until it happened, all of them occurred because someone recognized that their internal state had creative power over their external reality, not the other way around. The landscape doesn't control the river. The river shapes the landscape over time. Your circumstances don't control your energetic frequency. Your frequency, held consistently enough, reshapes your circumstances. This is the natural order of creation, and when you understand it, really grasp it at a cellular level, you stop being a victim of your situation and start being the creative force within it. So how do you actually activate this internal power when everything around you seems to contradict it? This is where we need to talk about one of the most misunderstood techniques in all of manifestation work: acting as if. Now, before you dismiss this as positive thinking or fake it till you make it nonsense, stay with me, because what I'm about to explain is far more sophisticated than that. Acting as if means you begin thinking, feeling, and behaving as though you already have what you desire. Not pretending, not lying to yourself, not ignoring reality, but consciously choosing to embody the energetic frequency of the person who has already received what you're calling in. This isn't a mental game or a surface-level trick. This is a powerful, energetic alignment technique that literally shifts your vibrational identity. Here's what happens on a deeper level. When you act as if you're already abundant, when you think the thoughts an abundant person thinks, when you feel the emotions an abundant person feels, when you make decisions from that elevated state, your energy changes immediately. Your magnet recalibrates. Your river redirects. Your fire intensifies. And because the universe is that perfect mirror we talked about, it has no choice but to begin reflecting this new frequency back to you. This is where identity shift actually happens, not in your head as an abstract concept, but in your daily lived experience. You're not waiting for circumstances to change so you can feel abundant. You're generating the feeling of abundance now, regardless of circumstances. And that feeling becomes the magnetic force that draws matching circumstances to you. Think about how someone who's naturally wealthy moves through the world. They don't obsess over prices. They don't make decisions from fear of lack. They don't hoard or grip tightly to what they have. There's an ease, a confidence, a fundamental trust that resources will be available when needed. Now, what if you started moving through your day with that same energy even before your bank account reflects it? What if you made decisions from abundance rather than scarcity? What if you carried yourself with the quiet certainty that you're provided for? Your universe would have to reorganize itself around this new identity. Not might reorganize, not could reorganize, would have to reorganize, because that's how the mirror works. If you're ready to start acting from your future abundant self, write in the comments, "I embody abundance now." Now let's talk about something that might explain why you've been doing all the right things, but still not seeing the results you want. Your mind functions like a mirror, and right. Now for most people, that mirror is foggy. Imagine standing in a bathroom right after a hot shower. The mirror is completely covered in condensation, and when you look at it, you can barely make out your reflection. It's blurry, distorted, unclear. That's what happens to your internal mirror when it's clouded by doubt, fear, and scarcity thinking. Each time you think, "I can't afford that," there's another layer of vapor on the glass. Each time fear whispers, "What if this doesn't work?" More condensation builds up. Each time you repeat old stories about why money is hard or why abundance isn't for people like you, the fog thickens. And through that foggy mirror, you're trying to see your abundant self, trying to connect with that elevated identity, but all you see is a distorted, unclear reflection that doesn't inspire confidence or certainty. But here's what's beautiful about this metaphor. Cleaning a mirror is simple. You don't need to replace the mirror. You don't need a new mirror. You just need to wipe away the fog, and instantly the clear reflection returns. The same is true for your mind. You don't need to become a different person. You don't need to acquire some quality you don't already possess. You simply need to clear away the accumulated condensation of limiting thoughts, and your natural abundance reflection becomes visible again. This cleaning process begins with consciousness, simply becoming aware of when you're adding more fog to the mirror, catching yourself in the act of scarcity thinking, noticing when fear is narrating your internal dialogue, observing the patterns of doubt that have become so familiar they feel like truth. Consciousness is the first step, because you can't change what you're not aware of. Then comes observation without judgment. You're not beating yourself up for having these thoughts. You're not adding shame to the equation, because shame is just another layer of fog. You're simply observing, like a scientist studying data. Interesting, I just thought I can't afford that. Where did that come from? Is it actually true, or is it a conditioned response? This kind of gentle observation loosens the grip these thoughts have on you. And finally comes intention, the deliberate choice to wipe the mirror clean, to replace the scarcity thought with an abundant one, to interrupt the fear pattern with a statement of trust, to consciously choose which reflection you're going to focus on. This is daily work, moment-to-moment work, but it's how you maintain clarity in your internal mirror so that when you look within, you see abundance reflecting back at you clearly and powerfully. But there's another critical piece we need to address, because even with a clean mirror and aligned energy, many people still struggle to manifest because their desires are too vague. The universe responds to clear, decisive signals. Think of it like trying to tune into a radio station. If you're just randomly turning the dial, you get static and fragments of different stations overlapping. But when you know the exact frequency you're looking for and you tune precisely to that number, the signal comes through crystal clear. Your desires work the same way. If your intention is vague, "I just want more money," or "I want to be successful," or "I want to be financially comfortable," your magnet doesn't know what to attract. Your river doesn't know which direction to flow. Your energy disperses across too many possibilities, and the signal you're broadcasting becomes weak and unclear. But when you get precise, when you define exactly what abundance looks like for you, what amount you're calling in, what that money will allow you to do, how it will feel to have it, what specific changes it will create in your life, your signal becomes a laser beam. Your magnet locks onto a specific frequency. Your river knows exactly which channel to carve. The universe receives clear instructions about what you're asking for, and it can respond with matching clarity. If you're ready to get clear and precise about what you're calling in, write in the comments, "Clarity is my power." So here's what I want you to actually do, not just think about, but genuinely take action on. Because this is where the shift from theoretical understanding to lived transformation happens. I want you to write down in complete and vivid detail exactly what you want to manifest. And notice, I didn't say, just write down that you want money. Anyone can write, I want $1 million on a piece of paper. That's vague. That's surface level. That doesn't engage your entire being in the creation process. Instead, describe the exact amount, not a range, not somewhere around this much, but the precise number that when you see it, something in your chest says, yes, that's it. Then go deeper. How does it feel to have that amount? Not how you think it should feel, but how it actually feels in your body when you imagine it. Is there a sense of relief, freedom, excitement, security? Let yourself actually experience that emotion as you write. Then describe how it changes your day. What does your morning look like when you wake up with that financial reality? What decisions do you make differently? What do you say yes to that you currently say no to? What burdens lift? What possibilities open? Paint the picture so clearly that someone reading your description could step into your life and know exactly what it looks like. And don't stop there. Describe how this impacts the people you love. How does your abundance create ripple effects in their lives? What can you provide for them? What experiences can you share? What security can you offer? What opportunities can you help create? Because abundance is never just about you. It's about the expanded capacity you have to show up in the world, to contribute, to give, to create impact. Every single word you write in this exercise is functioning as a magnet. Each detail strengthens your energetic identity. Each specific description tunes your frequency more precisely to what you're calling in. This isn't journaling as therapy or self-reflection. This is journaling as creation, as energetic programming, as the conscious design of your reality template. And here's what happens when you do this with genuine intention and detail. Clarity eliminates internal confusion. Right now, if you're like most people, there's a quiet war happening inside you. Part of you wants abundance, while another part questions whether you deserve it. Part of you moves toward wealth, while another part unconsciously sabotages. Part of you takes action, while another part undermines that action with doubt. This internal confusion is exhausting, and it's why so many people feel like they're working hard, but spinning their wheels. But when you achieve crystal clarity, when you know exactly what you want, why you want it, what it looks like, how it feels, what it enables, something remarkable happens. Your entire system aligns. Your thoughts automatically orient toward your objective. Your decisions naturally support your goal. Your actions flow in the direction of your desire without constant willpower or forcing. There's no more internal debate, no more second guessing, no more dispersion of energy across conflicting intentions. It's like the difference between a scattered beam of light and a laser. Scattered light illuminates a general area but has no cutting power. A laser, which is just light focused with absolute precision, can cut through steel. Your focused intention, your defined desire, your clarified vision becomes that laser. It cuts through obstacles. It creates pathways. It makes what seemed impossible suddenly achievable. This is how coherence creates accelerated manifestation, when all parts of you, conscious and subconscious, thought and emotion, intention and action, are moving in the same direction toward the same clearly defined outcome. You become an unstoppable force. There's no resistance, no internal friction, no energy wasted on confusion or contradiction, just pure, directed, powerful flow. And the universe, being that perfect mirror, responds to this level of clarity with matching precision. Vague desires get vague results. Confused intentions get confusing circumstances. But laser-focused clarity gets specific, tangible, undeniable manifestation. If you've written down your desire with complete clarity, write in the comments, "My vision is crystal clear." Now let's talk about something that's happening every single moment of your life. Whether you're aware of it or not, your energy is following your attention like a faithful shadow. Wherever you place your focus, that's where your magnetic force concentrates. This isn't metaphorical. This is the actual mechanics of how your energetic system operates. Think of your attention as a spotlight in a dark room. Whatever you shine that light on becomes illuminated, amplified, real in your experience. Everything else fades into the background. So when you spend your days thinking about scarcity, worrying about bills, obsessing over what you don't have, comparing yourself to others and feeling less than, you're shining your spotlight directly on lack, and your river, which flows in the direction of your attention, starts drying up. Your fire, which burns brightest when fed with empowering focus, begins to dim and flicker. Your magnet weakens because the frequency you're broadcasting is not enough, and the universe mirrors back exactly that, not enough. But here's where this gets powerful. You can redirect that spotlight at any moment. When you consciously shift your attention to gratitude, to recognizing what's already working, what you already have, the opportunities that already exist around you, your entire energetic system recalibrates. Your river begins flowing again. Your fire reignites. Your magnet strengthens and starts pulling. Opportunities toward you that were always there but invisible while you were focused elsewhere. This is the hidden truth behind why some people seem to attract success effortlessly while others grind and struggle. It's not that opportunities favor certain people. It's that certain people have trained their attention to focus on possibility rather than limitation, on abundance rather than scarcity, on solutions rather than problems. And because energy follows attention, their entire reality reflects that focus. But attention alone, while powerful, isn't the complete picture. There's a deeper level of alignment that creates truly unstoppable manifestation, and it happens when thought, emotion, and action synchronize into perfect harmony. Think of this like a bow and arrow, one of the oldest and most elegant weapons ever designed, and a perfect metaphor for how manifestation actually works. When you draw a bow, three things must happen simultaneously. First, you must aim. That's your thought, your clear intention, your focused vision of the target. Without proper aim, it doesn't matter how strong you are or how perfect your release is, you'll miss. Second, you must create tension. That's your emotion, the energetic charge that builds as you pull the string back. This tension stores the power that will propel the arrow forward. Without emotional charge, your intention has no force behind it. And third, you must release precisely. That's your action, the moment you let go and allow the arrow to fly toward its target. When all three elements are synchronized, when your thought is clear, your emotion is charged, and your action is precise, the arrow hits its mark every single time. But if even one element is off, the whole system fails. If your aim is unclear, it doesn't matter how much tension you create. If you have perfect aim but no emotional charge, the arrow doesn't have the power to reach the target. If your aim is good and your tension is strong, but you fumble, the release, the arrow goes wild. This is exactly what happens in manifestation. Most people have fragmented attempts. They think about what they want, but they feel doubt, or they feel excited about a possibility, but their thoughts are chaotic and unfocused. Or they have clear thoughts and strong emotions, but they never take aligned action. The bow never releases the arrow. But when you achieve synchronization, when your thoughts are crystal clear about what you're creating, when your emotions are genuinely charged with the feeling of already having it, when your actions flow naturally from that aligned state, your internal magnet reaches maximum power. You become an irresistible force of attraction. The universe has no choice but to deliver, because you're broadcasting such a clear, coherent, powerful signal that manifestation becomes inevitable. If you're committed to synchronizing these three forces within you, write in the comments, "I am aligned and unstoppable." Now I want to introduce you to something that most people completely misunderstand, and this misunderstanding is costing them years of manifestation power. We're going to talk about gratitude, but not the surface-level mechanical kind, where you rattle off a quick, "I'm grateful for my health, my family, my home," while your mind is already somewhere else. I'm talking about deep gratitude, the kind that completely shifts your physiology, that brings tears to your eyes, that makes your chest expand with genuine appreciation for what already exists in your life. This depth of gratitude isn't just a nice spiritual practice, it's fuel. It's the accelerant that makes your river flow faster, that makes your fire burn hotter, that makes your magnet spin with greater intensity. When you feel genuine gratitude, when you truly embody the sensation of abundance as if it's already completely present and real, something extraordinary happens in your energy field. You're no longer vibrating at the frequency of wanting or needing. You're vibrating at the frequency of having and being, and that shift changes everything. Think about the energetic difference between these two states. When you want something, there's inherent lack in that frequency. I want means I don't currently have. When you need something, there's desperation, anxiety, fear of what happens if you don't get it. But when you're grateful, genuinely grateful, you're acknowledging abundance that already exists. You're saying to the universe, "Look at all this richness already present in my life." And the universe, being that perfect mirror, responds by giving you more of what you're focusing on. This is why gratitude is the invisible catalyst of manifestation. It's happening beneath the surface, rewiring your subconscious, elevating your vibration, tuning your magnet to a frequency that naturally attracts more. Every time you feel authentic gratitude, you're sending a signal that says, "I am abundant." And that signal acts like a homing beacon for more abundance to find you. But here's the mechanism that makes this so powerful. When you give thanks with genuine emotion, and you do it consistently, not just once when you remember, but as a daily practice, your subconscious mind begins to align with abundance as your default state. Your baseline frequency shifts upward. Things that used to trigger scarcity thinking no longer have the same power. Opportunities you would have missed because you were focused on lack suddenly become visible because you're tuned to a different channel. And there's another element at play here that's almost magical in how it works. Gratitude creates a vacuum that the universe rushes to fill. Imagine you have a container, and that container represents your capacity to receive. If that container is dirty, filled with resentment, complaints, envy, scarcity thinking, there's no room for abundance to flow in. But when you clean that container through genuine gratitude, when you empty out all the toxic emotions and replace them with appreciation, you create pristine space. The universe abhors a vacuum. When you create clean, open space through gratitude, the universe fills it automatically. It's like preparing a perfectly clean vessel to receive water. The water flows in without resistance, without spilling, without contamination. Your gratitude is that cleaning process. Every time you genuinely appreciate what you have, you're wiping the container cleaner, making more space, increasing your capacity to receive even more. This is why people who cultivate deep gratitude practices often report sudden windfalls, unexpected opportunities, and resources appearing from nowhere. It's not that they're luckier, it's that they've created the energetic conditions for abundance to flow in without obstruction. Their magnet is clean and powerful. Their river is clear and flowing. Their fire is burning bright. And all of it is fueled by this fundamental shift from focusing on lack to recognizing abundance that already exists. If gratitude is becoming your secret weapon for transformation, write in the comments, "I am deeply grateful." Now we need to address something that can undermine everything we've built so far. And it's so subtle that most people don't even realize it's happening. You can have clear desire. You can have strong faith. You can practice visualization daily. You can take aligned action. You can feel genuine gratitude. And yet, underneath all of that, there can be a thread of doubt quietly eroding your foundation like an underground river wearing away at bedrock. Doubt doesn't always announce itself loudly. It doesn't show up saying, "I'm here to sabotage you." Instead, it whispers. It plants tiny seeds of, "What if this doesn't work?" Or "Maybe I'm the exception," or "This seems too good to be true." And those whispers, repeated over time, create cracks in your foundation. They compromise the structural integrity of everything you're building. Because here's the truth that might be hard to hear. Abundance doesn't come to those who waver. It comes to those who trust fully, completely, without reservation, that what they desire is already on its way. Think about how different those two energetic states are. Wavering is a back-and-forth motion. One day you believe, the next day you doubt. One moment you're certain, the next you're questioning everything. That oscillation creates instability in your magnetic field. It's like trying to tune a radio while constantly moving the dial. You never lock onto a clear signal. You get fragments, static, fleeting moments of clarity followed by noise. But trust is steady. Trust is unwavering. Trust doesn't need constant proof or validation. It operates from a place of deep knowing that transcends circumstances. And this is where transformation really solidifies, because when you shift from hoping it works to trusting it's already working, your entire energetic signature changes. You stop broadcasting desperation or anxiety. You start broadcasting certainty, and certainty is the frequency that manifestation locks onto. So how does trust actually function in this process? Let me show you the mechanics of what's happening beneath the surface. Every doubt you hold is like placing a stone in your river. It creates resistance. It slows the flow. It diverts energy that should be moving toward your desires. But trust dissolves those stones. Not by force, not by fighting them, but simply by being a stronger, more consistent frequency that makes doubt irrelevant. When you truly trust, doubt can't maintain its grip because the two frequencies can't coexist in the same space. Every fear is like a cloud blocking your light. It dims your fire, makes it harder to see clearly, creates shadow and uncertainty. But trust acts like wind that clears the sky. It doesn't fight the clouds. It simply moves them aside, lets the light through again, restores your natural radiance. When you trust, deeply, fear loses its power because you're no longer giving it attention or energy to feed on. Every uncertainty is like wind trying to knock your magnet off course, creating wobble and instability. But trust stabilizes everything. It keeps your magnet spinning true, locked onto the precise frequency you're calling in. It removes the wobble. It creates the steady, consistent rotation that generates maximum attractive power. This is the journey from intellectual understanding to embodied knowing. You can understand all these principles in your mind, but until they drop into your body as trust, as a felt sense of certainty that lives in your bones, they remain theoretical. The shift happens when you stop trying to figure out how it will work and start trusting that it is working, even when you can't see evidence yet. And here's what makes trust so powerful. It doesn't require external validation. It doesn't need proof before it exists. It comes first, and proof follows. This is the sequence that most people get backwards. They say, "I'll trust when I see results," but trust is what creates the conditions for results to appear. If you're ready to release doubt and step fully into trust, write in the comments, "I trust the process completely. Now we're going to explore what might be the most counterintuitive principle in this entire journey, and it's the one that separates people who manifest occasionally from those who live in constant flow. It's called intelligent detachment, and I need you to really understand what this means, because it goes against every instinct you've been taught about achieving goals and creating success. Here's the paradox. The universe responds to energy, not insistence. The more desperately you cling to an outcome, the more you grip it with white knuckles and anxious anticipation, the more resistance you actually create. It's like trying to hold water in your fist. The tighter you squeeze, the more it leaks through your fingers. But when you cup your hands gently, the water stays. This is the hidden truth about how energy actually moves. Clinging creates friction. Desperation creates resistance. Attachment born from fear creates blockage. When you practice conscious detachment, and notice I said conscious, not careless, something remarkable happens. Your river flows without obstacles because you're not constantly trying to control its path. Your magnet spins without friction because you're not gripping it so tightly that you prevent its natural rotation. Everything you desire begins moving toward you with ease, not because you've stopped caring, but because you've stopped interfering with the natural flow. But here's where people get confused, and it's a crucial distinction. Detachment doesn't mean indifference. It doesn't mean you stop wanting what you want, or that you become passive and uninvolved in your own life. That's not detachment. That's giving up. And there's a massive energetic difference between the two. Real detachment means you have absolute trust in the process and in your own energy. It means your happiness, your peace, your sense of abundance don't hinge on manifestation arriving today, tomorrow, or at any specific moment you've decided it should appear. Think about how you feel when you're waiting for something you desperately need. There's tension in your body. There's anxiety in your mind. You check constantly. Did it happen yet? Is it here? Why isn't it here yet? That energy is repellent. It pushes away the very thing you're trying to attract because you're broadcasting need, lack, fear. You're not a magnet in that state. You're a repellent force. But when you detach intelligently, you maintain your clear desire and aligned action while simultaneously releasing your grip on the timing and the exact form it takes. You trust that what's yours is already on its way, and because you trust that, you can relax. You can be present. You can enjoy your life now instead of postponing your happiness until the manifestation arrives. And that relaxed, present, already abundant energy is magnetic in the truest sense. This is how wealth becomes a natural extension of who you are, rather than a goal you pursue anxiously. When you're anxiously pursuing, you're in lack mode, and lack attracts more lack. When wealth is simply part of your natural identity, when you carry yourself as someone who is already abundant regardless of current circumstances, you become the kind of person to whom wealth naturally flows. Not because you're faking it or pretending, but because you've genuinely shifted your relationship with prosperity from desperate pursuit to natural reception. The transformation happens in this subtle but profound shift. You stop asking when will it come and start knowing it's already in motion. You stop worrying what if it doesn't work and start trusting this is working perfectly. You stop gripping and controlling and start allowing and receiving. And in that allowing, in that surrender to the process while maintaining absolute trust in the outcome, the universe has space to deliver in ways that might be even better than what you specifically imagined. If you're learning to hold your desires with an open hand instead of a clenched fist, write in the comments, I release and receive. Now let's address something critical, because this is where a lot of well-intentioned people go off track. They understand the principles of energy, vibration, and magnetism, but then they make a fatal mistake. They start taking massive action from a place of anxiety and fear. They hustle, they grind, they force outcomes, thinking that if they just do enough, work hard enough, push hard enough, they can override their energetic misalignment. But that's not how this works. The universe does require action. Let me be clear about that. This isn't about sitting on your couch visualizing all day and expecting money to materialize out of thin air. But the kind of action that actually accelerates manifestation is fundamentally different from the exhausting, resistance-filled action most people take. What you need is inspired action, and there's a world of difference between the two. Inspired action comes from a place of clarity, alignment, and flow. It's the action that emerges naturally when your internal fire is burning bright and your intuition whispers, "This is the next step." It doesn't feel heavy or forced. It doesn't come from, "I have to do this or else." It comes from, "I'm being called to do this and it feels right." That action, even when it requires effort, flows. It has momentum behind it. It moves without the friction of resistance. Think about the difference in how these two types of action feel in your body. Forced action, action taken from anxiety or external pressure, creates tension. Your shoulders tighten, your jaw clenches. There's a quality of pushing against something, of trying to make reality. Bend to your will through sheer force. You might get results from this kind of action, but they're hard-won, exhausting, and they don't last because they're not sustainable. But inspired action feels different, even when it's challenging, even when it requires you to stretch beyond your comfort zone. There's an underlying sense of rightness. Your body might be nervous, but underneath the nerves is excitement. There's a knowing that this is your next move, not because someone told you it should. Indeed, not because you read it in a book, but because your internal guidance system, that fire, that magnet, that river, is directing you toward it. And here's what makes inspired action so powerful. When you combine it with everything else we've been building, the gratitude, the faith, the clarity, the trust, the detachment, it becomes an invisible catalyst that multiplies your manifestation exponentially. Each aligned movement you make sends ripples through the energetic field. Each step taken from internal knowing rather than external pressure creates pathways for abundance to reach you more quickly. What matters isn't the size of the action. It's not about making huge, dramatic gestures or taking massive risks before you're ready. What matters is that the action, however small it might appear, is born from alignment. A tiny step taken from genuine inspiration has more creative power than 1,000 steps taken from fear or obligation, because that tiny aligned step is moving with the current of your river, not against it. It's reinforcing your magnetic field, not creating static. It's feeding your fire, not dampening it. This is how you recognize inspired action versus forced action. Inspired action energizes you, even when it's difficult. It feels like a yes in your body, even when your mind might be scared. Forced action depletes you. It feels like obligation, like something you have to push yourself to do. One opens doors effortlessly. The other requires you to break them down. And the beautiful truth is that when you're operating from aligned energy, when your thoughts are clear, your emotions are elevated, your gratitude is genuine, your trust is solid, and your detachment is intelligent, inspired action becomes natural. You don't have to figure out what to do next. The next step reveals itself. You don't have to strategize and plan every detail. The path unfolds as you walk it. If you're committed to taking only aligned, inspired action from now on, write in the comments, "I act from inspiration." Now we're arriving at what might be the most transformative insight in this entire journey, and it's something that will fundamentally shift how you see yourself and your relationship with wealth. Here it is, stated plainly. You cannot attract what you are not. Read that again and let it sink in. The universe doesn't respond to your passing desires, your temporary wishes, or your surface-level wants. It responds to who you are in essence, to the core identity you carry, to how you perceive yourself at the deepest level. This is why affirmations alone don't work for most people. This is why vision boards gather dust. This is why goal setting without identity work produces minimal results. Because you can want abundance all day long. But if your fundamental identity whispers, "I'm not the kind of person who has wealth," the universe reads that identity signal and delivers experiences that match it. Your wealth isn't just a goal you're pursuing. It's meant to be an extension of your identity, a natural expression of your energy, a manifestation of that internal fire we've been talking about. Think about people you know or have observed who seem to naturally attract wealth. There's something about how they carry themselves, how they make decisions, how they view the world. They don't apologize for success. They don't shrink from opportunities. There's a fundamental assumption in their being that prosperity is normal, expected, deserved. That's not arrogance, that's identity alignment. They've become, at the core level, people to whom wealth naturally flows. And here's the beautiful and sometimes confronting truth. Your identity functions like a mirror. Imagine standing in front of a perfectly clear mirror. If you stand there radiating confidence, security, strength, and a sense of abundance, that's exactly what the mirror shows back to you. And more importantly, that's what the world perceives when it looks at you. That's the signal you broadcast, and the universe mirrors it back through circumstances, opportunities, and resources that match that frequency. But if you look in that mirror with doubt clouding your eyes, with fear tightening your face, with scarcity hunching your shoulders, the mirror reflects that too. And the world, being that perfect mirror we discussed earlier, responds to what you're showing it. Not what you wish you were showing it, not what you try to pretend you're showing it, but what you're actually broadcasting at the identity level. This is why transformation work that focuses only on external strategies and tactics inevitably fails. You can learn all the best business practices, all the wealth-building strategies, all the networking techniques in the world, but if your identity hasn't shifted, if you're still fundamentally seeing yourself as someone who struggles or someone who isn't meant for prosperity, those external actions will feel like you're swimming against the current. They'll require constant willpower, they'll exhaust you, and even when you achieve temporary wins, they won't stick because they don't match your internal identity. But when you do the deeper work, when you actually shift who you are at the core level, when your identity becomes that of someone naturally abundant, something miraculous happens. The same external actions that felt forced before now flow naturally. Opportunities that were invisible before suddenly appear everywhere. Resources you needed show up right when you need them. Not because the world changed, but because you changed, and the world is simply mirroring back your new identity. This identity shift isn't about becoming someone you're not. It's about remembering and reclaiming who you actually are beneath all the conditioning, the limiting beliefs, the fear-based programming you absorbed from childhood, from society, from past experiences. Your natural state is abundance. You just forgot. And now you're remembering. If you're ready to claim this abundant identity as your true self, write in the comments, "This is who I truly am." So let's talk about what actually happens when this identity shift becomes real, when it moves from intellectual understanding into lived experience. When you genuinely identify with abundance, when it's not something you're trying to convince yourself of, but something you simply know at a bone-deep level. Abundance stops being something external you're chasing and becomes your natural state of being. This is the shift that changes absolutely everything. You're no longer fighting for prosperity. You're not waking up anxious about whether opportunities will come. You're not constantly strategizing and forcing and pushing to make things happen. Instead, there's a fundamental ease that permeates your entire existence. Abundance simply flows toward you because you've become the kind of energetic beacon that it's magnetically drawn to. Your internal fire burns with perfect coherence, not flickering with doubt or dimming with fear. Your river flows deep and constant, not blocked by limiting beliefs or diverted by scarcity thinking. Your magnet brings opportunities without you having to strain or effort, because the alignment is so strong that attraction becomes automatic. But here's what most people don't realize. This isn't a one-time shift that happens and then you're done. It's a daily practice, a moment-to-moment choice, a continuous reinforcement of who you're choosing to be. Because even after you've had profound realizations, even after you've felt that shift in your core, the old patterns will still try to creep back in. Old habits of thought will attempt to reassert themselves. Familiar fears will knock on the door looking for entrance. This is where the real mastery happens, in the daily reinforcement of your abundant identity. Throughout your day, every single day, you need to become a vigilant observer of your internal landscape. Notice what thoughts are running through your mind as you go about your routine. Notice what emotions arise when you encounter certain triggers. Notice what actions you're taking and whether they align with the abundant identity you're claiming or contradict it. When you catch yourself thinking from scarcity, when you hear yourself say, "I can't afford that," or "money is tight," or "that's not for people like me," you pause. You don't shame yourself for the thought. You simply recognize it as a signal that's out of alignment with your new identity, and you consciously correct it. You replace it. You reaffirm the truth. I am abundance. Everything I desire is already on its way to me. When you notice doubt creeping in, questioning whether this is really working, whether you're really changing, whether abundance will actually show up, you catch it. You observe it without judgment, and then you redirect. You come back to your center, to that internal fire, and you feel it burning strong. You reconnect with your river and feel it flowing. You tune into your magnet and sense it spinning, and you affirm again and again until it becomes more real than the doubt. I am abundance. When fear shows up, fear about the future, fear about your current circumstances, fear about not having enough, you don't push it away or pretend it doesn't exist. You acknowledge it, you feel it, and then you consciously choose not to let it dictate your energetic state. You breathe through it. You return to trust. You remember that your internal power is stronger than any external circumstance. And you affirm, I am abundance. Everything I need flows to me effortlessly. This daily practice is what turns temporary insight into permanent transformation. This is how you rewire decades of conditioning. This is how you replace an old identity with a new one until the new identity becomes so natural, so automatic, so deeply ingrained that you don't have to think about it anymore. It just is who you are. If you're committed to this daily practice of reinforcing your abundant identity, write in the comments, I choose abundance every day. Now I want you to do something with me, something that will anchor everything we've explored into a single powerful image you can return to again and again. Close your eyes if you can, or if you're watching while doing something else, just bring your full attention inward for a moment. I want you to visualize, with as much detail as possible, a giant magnet positioned right in the center of your chest. This isn't a small, weak magnet. This is massive, powerful, glowing with energy. See this magnet spinning smoothly, without any friction or resistance. It rotates with perfect precision, creating this incredible electromagnetic field that extends far beyond your physical body. With each rotation, it radiates strength, confidence, certainty. Feel that radiation moving through your chest, spreading through your entire body, expanding outward into the space around you. This is your energetic signature broadcasting into the world, and it's absolutely magnetic. Now here's what's happening as this magnet spins. Every opportunity that's aligned with your highest good is being drawn toward you. Every resource you need is moving in your direction. Every idea that will serve your abundance is finding its way to your consciousness. Every person who's meant to be part of your journey is being magnetically pulled into your orbit. Every circumstance that will elevate you is arranging itself in your favor. Not because you're forcing it, not because you're chasing it, but because your magnet is so powerful, so clear in its frequency, that attraction is automatic. Feel this. Actually feel the sensation of being this powerful point of attraction. Feel opportunities moving toward you like iron filings toward a magnet. Feel resources flowing in your direction like water finding its level. This isn't fantasy. This is you connecting with the energetic reality that exists beyond what your physical eyes can see. This is you tapping into the truth of how manifestation actually works. And now we arrive at the final revelation, the culmination of everything we've been building toward. Money doesn't arrive by chance. Opportunity doesn't show up randomly. Abundance doesn't come and go based on luck or external circumstances you can't control. None of that is true, and believing it keeps you powerless. Here's what's actually true. Money, opportunity, and abundance respond directly to your identity, your vibration, your internal fire, and the coherence of your energy field. They don't withdraw because of momentary obstacles or temporary setbacks. They don't abandon you when things get challenging. They simply wait for your signal to strengthen again, for your alignment to return, for your frequency to stabilize. And when you understand this, when you really grasp that you are the determining factor in what shows up in your life, everything changes. You stop being a victim of circumstance and become the creative force within your own reality. When your identity is aligned with abundance, when your vibration is elevated and consistent, when your internal fire burns bright with coherence, when your energy field is clear and focused, wealth finds you. It doesn't require pursuit. It doesn't demand exhausting effort. It doesn't make you beg or prove yourself worthy. It simply flows to you naturally, inevitably, as surely as water flows downhill, because you've become the energetic match for it. This is the journey we've been on together, from understanding money as energy to activating your internal magnet, to removing the stones from your river, to cultivating deep trust and intelligent detachment, to taking inspired action, to fundamentally shifting your identity. Every piece has been building toward this moment where you recognize that you are not separate from abundance. You are the very source of it. Your external reality is simply reflecting your internal state. Change the internal state, and the external reality has no choice but to reorganize itself around your new frequency. This is the law. This is how creation works. This is the hidden truth that's been available to you all along, and now you know it. If this revelation is landing in your bones as truth, write in the comments, "I am the source of my abundance." So now we're going to seal everything we've done together with a powerful ritual. And I want you to understand that this isn't just symbolic. This is a genuine energetic act that reinforces and solidifies the transformation that's been happening within you throughout this entire journey. What I'm about to ask you to do carries real weight, real creative power, so approach it with intention and conviction. I want you to write something down, not type it on your phone, not think it in your head. Actually write it with your hand on paper if possible. And here's what you're going to write. I already am abundance. Notice the tense, not I will be, or I'm becoming, or I hope to be. Present tense, already, right now. This moment. You are declaring a current reality, not a future possibility. As you write these words, feel them. Don't just mechanically move your hand across the page. Feel the energy of this statement resonating in your chest, reverberating through your entire body. Feel it connecting with something deeper than your conscious mind, that place where transformation actually occurs, where identity shifts from old to new, where the seed of your abundant future is planted in the soil of this present moment. And here's something beautiful that happens when you make this declaration. You're not doing it alone. Thousands of others watching this are making the same declaration. You're joining an energetic field of people who are all choosing abundance, all activating their magnets, all clearing their rivers, all igniting their fires. There's a collective power in that, a resonance that amplifies what each individual is creating. You're tapping into a frequency that extends far beyond just you. And that frequency strengthens your own signal. This ritual matters because it's the moment you stop being someone who's learning about abundance and become someone who embodies it. It's the transition point where all the understanding you've gained crystallizes into a lived identity. When you write, "I already am abundance," with genuine conviction, something shifts permanently. You've drawn a line in the sand. You've made a declaration to yourself and to the universe about who you are from this moment forward. But let me be clear about something important. This isn't an ending. What we've gone through together today isn't the conclusion of your journey. It's the beginning. It's the activation point. It's the moment everything changes because you've accessed knowledge that most people never discover. And more importantly, you've done the internal work to integrate that knowledge into your being. From this point forward, wealth isn't something distant you're trying to reach. Opportunity isn't something you have to desperately search for. Abundance isn't a goal years away that requires endless sacrifice and struggle. All of that old paradigm dissolves right here, right now. Instead, these things become natural extensions of who you are. They're not separate from you. They're expressions of your energetic state, manifestations of your aligned identity, inevitable results of the fire that now burns within you. Your fire, that internal source of creative power we've been cultivating, is infinite. It doesn't run out. It doesn't diminish. The more you tend it, the brighter it burns. Your river, that flow of energy and resources moving through your life, is infinite. It doesn't dry up. It only grows stronger as you remove obstacles and allow it to find its natural course. Your magnet, that attractive force drawing opportunities toward you, is infinite. Its power only increases as you maintain coherence and alignment, and because these forces within you are infinite, your abundance is inevitable, not hopeful, not possible, inevitable. It's already in motion. It's already finding its way to you. The only question now is how fully you'll allow it, how completely you'll embody it, how consistently you'll maintain the identity that makes it your natural reality. If you've truly grasped that your abundance is not a question of if, but when, and that the when is determined by your alignment, write in the comments, "My abundance is inevitable." So here we are, at what feels like both an ending and a beginning. If you've made it all the way to this point, that tells me something important about you. You're not just casually interested in transformation, you're genuinely ready for it, and that readiness is what makes all the difference. I create content like this because I believe these principles have the power to completely reshape someone's relationship with abundance, with themselves, with what's possible in their life. And if what we've explored together today resonated with you, if it sparked something real, I'd love for you to subscribe to the channel. There's so much more we're going to dive into: deeper principles, practical applications, the behind-the-scenes mechanics of how all of this actually works in daily life. You don't want to miss what's coming. And do me a favor, drop a comment and let me know you made it all the way through. Just write, "This message was meant for me," so I know you were here for the whole journey. I read every single comment, and there's something powerful about acknowledging that you showed up fully for this. If you felt that shift happening inside you as we move through this together, hit the like button. It helps this message reach more people who are ready for it, who need to hear it, who are standing exactly where you were before you clicked on this video. And listen, we've only scratched the surface of what's possible. There's a video right here that goes even deeper into how to maintain this frequency and turn these insights into consistent, tangible results in your life. Click it and continue with me over there, because this is just the beginning of what you're about to create. I'll see you in the next one.